First question is coming from Aaron Fentress with the Oregonian.
Coach, Covington mentioned last week that he does a lot of little things on defense that don't show up in the box scores. Can you elaborate maybe on that in terms of what you see from him that he brings that way?
Obviously I think he's a good on-ball defender. Everybody sees that, but he is really good off-ball on the weak side. He anticipates. He stays engaged in the play. He has good length. So I think when he's on the weak side, he reads defenses well and is usually in pretty good position.
Nice.
Next question is coming from Jason Quick with The Athletic.
What was your reaction when Dame told you that he was going to attempt shots from half court this year?
Well, actually, he didn't tell me. Last year he said that he was ready to. I know it's coming. I mean, I just hope he makes it. Or maybe if he misses it, he won't shoot anymore. I don't know. But, I think, as I've said before, as Dame's pushed out his range, I think everybody realized that his range is a threat. And, I think he's been relatively judicious in his shots. But I think we all know it's coming.
Will you ever tell him to stop if he's not successful?
I think he knows. I think he would understand that. I think he can make that decision on his own.
Yeah.
Next question is coming from Sean Hyken with Bleacher Report.
Terry, CJ mentioned a few minutes ago when he was on that you were the only coach at practice today, that none of your assistants were there. Is that like what's the deal with that? Are they all going to be available for the Friday, or what's going on with that?
They'll be here tomorrow. They had to quarantine as part of contact tracing, but they've had negative tests and they'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Next question is coming from Dwight James with NBC Sports Northwest.
Terry, you don't have a lot of time to get ready for this season, obviously, and you lost a couple of days on top of that. Is there concern about, take COVID out of the picture for just a second, just the amount of injuries that could come from guys not being ready or not quite prepared for the season? So what is your concern in that regard?
It's definitely a concern. I think league-wide, and especially you see what happened early on in football, there were it seemed like soft tissue injuries were up. So, we're aware of it. It's a concern, but we have to be able to ramp things up so that they're ready to play NBA games. So there has to be a balance of extending the practices, extending the conditioning, but at the same time not go overboard. So it's I think there's a balancing act that we have to kind of manage.
Terry, are there measurables that your trainers can find, or is that just pretty much your feel for the situation?
Probably both. Certainly the athletic staff, the HP staff. Oh, is that you, Dwight?
No. Go ahead.
I think our HP staff have a lot of different ways of monitoring their health and their conditioning. Also, but my job, like during practice, is knowing when to give them a break, knowing when to push them. Some of it's part of a feel, but you just hope. The good thing is for me, and Dwight, you've been at it a long time, is the days of coming into camp and using camp to get into shape are long gone. These guys stay in really good shape throughout the year. So there's nobody in here who is, they're maybe not in NBA basketball game shape, but they're in good shape.
Thank you.
Next question is coming from Casey Holdall with Trailblazers.com.
Terry, with Rodney returning to practice, how did you think he looked today, assuming this was his first kind of full run since having that Achilles injury?
I thought he looked good. I felt glad for him. It's been almost a year to the day since he got injured, and I was talking to him about that. I think he felt good out there. He went through the whole practice. I didn't see any, drawbacks, I guess is what I would say. I don't know. It was, you wouldn't have known that he had missed a year.
Next question is coming from Eric Gunderson with the Associated Press.
Hey, Terry. I just had a question. Last year, I think you guys were, I'm looking at it right now, you guys were 17th in 3-point rate. And obviously, you guys have a lot of great 3-point shooters. And in the league, of course, is also increasing their 3-point rate. But is it an emphasis to try and get more threes up this season, just given, especially adding Robert and, maybe to expand that part of your game, especially in the regular season?
Yeah, I think we'll shoot more threes. I don't know what our 3-point rate compared to the year before or the year before that, but as you guys know, since I've been in Portland, 3-point shooting has always been a focal point of our offense. So I think when you add Robert Covington to the roster, you bring back a healthy Rodney Hood. Gary Trent got more minutes. Dame and CJ are going to shoot theirs. I will say this: I did see a stat that I think Dame and CJ may have shot the highest percentage. How do I want to phrase this? If we, of the 100% of threes that we took, CJ and Dame's percentage was the highest of any twosome in the league. I know Eric, you'll go and get that stat right for me. My point being is that we need more people than Dame and CJ to take threes, and I think we have that with the evolution of Gary and the addition of Rodney and Robert. And I think you saw in the bubble, Melo was shooting a little bit more threes, I think, in the bubble. So yeah, that will be an emphasis.
All right, coming back to Aaron
Thanks,
Fentress. Aaron Fentress with the Oregonian.
Hey, Coach, going back to what Dwight was asking you about, do you feel like you have the depth to manage the roster better than maybe most teams can, because you don't have to play everybody or a lot of people a ton of minutes because you maybe are too deep at every position?
Well, right now we're healthy, which is great. I think more than being deep, we're versatile. I think we've got multiple guys that can play 2 or 3 positions. You look at Robert and Derek and Melo, they all can play 3 and 4. Rodney and Gary can play 2 and 3. CJ can play 1 and 2. Dame, throw in Dame and Anthony, they can play 1 and 2. So we got a lot of versatility as well as depth to the roster, which helps.
Next question is coming from AJ McCord with Coin 6.
Hey, Coach. So obviously you've been with Dame for a long time and you've seen this long range game of his develop. He said it sort of was born almost out of necessity as teams began trapping him earlier and earlier. Is that sort of how you remember this developing as well?
Yeah. It's the further out, if they're going to commit 2 people to Dame and pick and rolls, if they do that further out on the floor, that just creates more space and more opportunity. It spreads the defense a little bit more. So, the further out he goes, he's more of a threat. And obviously, he gets his feet set and takes those shots. I think the teams respect it. So, yeah, I would say that was the impetus for it.
Coming back to Jason Quick with The Athletic.
Considering how effective Derek Jones was in Miami's zone, will that give you more thought to maybe implementing more zone beyond you guys doing it out of a dead ball?
I think zone is down the road a little bit. It takes I think you have to practice zone and understand you can throw it out there for one possession, but I think if you want to be good at it, you got to practice and spend time. And frankly, we don't have the time to do that. We did spend time going into our bubble preparation in Orlando on the zone. Matter of fact, we kind of tried to use a lot of Miami's principles in the zone, but we didn't get around to using it much. But it's something that I would like to do, but I don't know if time will permit. I just don't know when we can work on it and feel comfortable with it.
Do you feel like because of the schedule that you won't be holding as many practices as maybe perhaps any other year?
Definitely. Between COVID testing and the protocols involved with COVID, playing basically we play every other day until the end of January. So our, I think our practice routines, our shoot around routines will be different this year than last.
All right, now we're going to Sean Hyken from Bleacher Report.
Terry, how has Nasir looked so far and we haven't really heard much about him lately. Is he all good from his? I know he had some health stuff going on during the bubble. Is he all good role? Or are you expecting him to have this year? I know you have a lot of forwards now.
Nasir got an opportunity last year that probably we didn't expect him to have. Because of a roster, he ended up going from not playing to actually starting some games. So he kind of got ahead of the curve as far as playing time, and obviously the bubble didn't help with his injuries. So, he's in a position that I don't want to say it's like his rookie year, but he's going to have to keep working to be the player that he's going to be. But for him, you've done our depth chart. He's been a little sick lately, so he hasn't been able to get the reps. But as far as his future this year, I think it's kind of goes back to what you would think as a guy in his position, where he needs to get a lot of practice and be ready for the opportunity.
All right, got time for one more question coming from Dwight James with NBC Sports Northwest.
Jerry, how do you feel about having to play a game on Friday? If you had your druthers, would you like to say, let's just skip that one and stay in the practice gym?
No, I'm ready. We'll get 2 more good practices. The main thing about Friday especially is that, they get to run up and down, get the feel of playing again. The bad thing is we got on Saturday, we're not going to have a practice. We'll have a film session, and then we have obligations at Motor Center to do some media obligations. So we won't have a practice on Saturday, and then we go and play a 6 o'clock game on Sunday. So we're going to lose a little bit. I'd like to have some more. It'd be nice to have a practice in between those first 2 games.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it there. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.